Isn't it hard? Isn't it hard being human, having a past? Why can't we just be recreated with every awakening, renewed, reformed, regenerated, resurrected? Why not? Well, because the past is gravity and holds the universe together. Consider then Poto and Cabengo. The world would have known them as Gracie and Ginny, if the world knew them at all, but it didn't until it was sadly too late. Two little girls, identical twins born in 1970, diagnosed early as retarded. Well, not actually diagnosed. The twins had suffered violent convulsions shortly after being born. A neurosurgeon told the father that it would be years before retardation could be ruled out. The father failed apparently to hear the nuances of this communication. A man of his standing knows what he's talking about. And so the girls, defective, were left to the ministrations of a severe Prussian grandmother who spoke no English. They were largely ignored, not sent to school. They did not learn to speak English, nor German neither. Rather, ideoglossia, a unique and private language rarely but usually developed between twins. We would have to assume twins who are severely neglected by adults. It's not twin speech, which is fairly common with very young twins, a hash of idioms and slurred common words. Ideoglossia goes far beyond that. It's a kind of Creole, a real and unique language, complete with grammar and syntax and neologisms. The language of Poto and Cabengo was a mishmash of English and German, gleaned from the impersonal and other-directed speaking of highly neglectful parents and the German grandmother, all of whom had given up on the retarded little girls who used prepositions as verbs and had 30 different ways to say potato. Pencil was pintu. Knife, nieps. Orange, hoax. Spaghetti, tulumea, or solomio. The girls were listening, you see. They spoke no English. They spoke only to each other. Poto was Grace. Cabengo was Virginia. The fact that they were of at least average intelligence is neither here nor there. The early label determined their fate. Back in the late 70s, after the girls had been discovered and treated, a speech pathologist observed it was obvious these girls hadn't had much exposure to anything. They wanted attention. No duh. They had never seen anyone climb a tree. A picture of this rare phenomenon provoked bafflement. With attention, their IQs moved up 30 points to 80. Still awfully low, but it was still the 1970s. After many months of intensive intervention, the girls were asked by a visitor if they still remembered their language. Yes, one answered quickly. No, you don't, and corrected the dad from the living room couch. I don't know why you're lying like that. You live in a society, you've got to speak the language, he explained helpfully. They don't want to be associated as dummies now. The girls were born with normal intelligence. As adults, Cabengo worked on a supervised assembly line at a job training center. Poto cleaned tables and floors at a fast food restaurant. Yes, the past is gravity. It crushes us if we're overburdened. And it keeps us from flying. Sometimes I just talk. Usually I write out what I want to say. I wrote this 15 years ago. I finished it with this. Tomorrow I'll be driving my father to some health-related appointment he has. I have not seen him in 14 years. He lives 4 miles away. Should I shine my shoes? I've had the notes up for the Poto and Cabengo piece for several months. Every time I turned on the computer, there they were, the notes. I wonder why I didn't get to it. There are a few other bits and pieces I want to write about. Something about prohibition. Something about depression. Something about the depression. So I wrote that in the aughts. I drove my dad to the doctor, and for the next 10 years, maybe once a year or every few years, I'd visit him. Likewise, a very rare phone call. I told him once that he was hard to be around, because he was. He died nearly 4 years ago, alone on the floor of his bedroom, old, frail. And I wish bitterly that I had been a better man. Strong enough to forgive. So I know what I'm talking about when I say that the past is gravity.